Well, it's a pretty cold and miserable morning up here in the Northeast, which is typical. Usually around, into March, early, April, you're thinking of spring, and all of a sudden now we get winter weather. But anyway, I'm actually finishing off another small batch of syrup, getting that ready to go in the bottles. And thought it'd be a good time to have bear tooth bacon and egg sandwich with some chaga tea that we harvested last week. And I don't know if you're familiar with the bear tooth, but these grow wild up here in New Hampshire, and they are absolutely delicious. And fortunately, if you've ever seen one, fortunately, it looks like a cauliflower head, doesn't it? A buddy of mine works in a mushroom factory, and believe it or not, I'm sure most of you are aware, but they grow mushrooms and harvest them all the time, and you can get the bear tooth, during the winter time, which we can't get around here obviously because they're not out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook some farm-raised bacon. It's absolutely delicious. Then I'm going to cook my bear tooth mushrooms in the bacon grease. Set those aside. I'm going to put my farm fresh eggs in. I'm going to put it on some nice oat bread, and I'm going to press some chaga tea. This tea here was actually my buddy Al that I go chaga hunting with. He processed this and ground it up, and you can see when it's ready to use, it looks like almost like real thick instant coffee. And I know there's so many videos on chaga out there, and so many people know a lot more about it than I do as far as their the benefits of chaga. So I drink it, I love it, but for me to try to sound intelligent about it, there's probably better sources out there. But there's a couple of ways to prepare it, and what I do is I put it in my French press. And the way with this here, if you take a quarter cup of chaga to about a gallon of water, is a pretty good ratio. And a lot of people make it in a crock pot. They'll put it in a crock pot for 6 or 7 hours and let it sit all day, cook all day, and then they eat it. And but what I do is I simply put it in my French press, put near boiling water in it, let it sit for 20 minutes, half an hour, press it, and I drink it that way. And I'll let it sit for 2 or 3 days, and the longer it sits, the better it is. It's kind of cool because you just you come in and you got this much chaga, you put it in the cup, heat it up, and pretty good cup of tea. And then I'll put my homemade maple syrup in there. So anyway, get my tea going first, because the longer it sits, the better it is. So I hollowed out a little burl maple, and that's what I use. It's a little better than a tablespoon, but I think it's a good combination for the size of my French press. So dump that in. I'm sure you know how to use a French press. Pour in our water. Pour that right there. And what I'll do is I'll let that set. Mix it up a little bit, actually. Use my spoon that I made, and mix it up a little bit so it's all in the water. I'll dry it out. I'll let that sit for about a half hour or so, and then I'll press it, and then let it sit for, I'll drink it at that point, but the longer it sits, the better it is. So anyway, we'll get that going on the side, and we got to get our bacon going. Stuff. While our bacon's cooking, we're going to get the mushrooms cut up. There's a couple, basically all I do is slice them up like that, like any mushroom, if you will. And these things are absolutely delicious, by the way. Probably the bear's tooth is kind of a toss-up between the oyster mushroom, which grows on dead oaks, or the bear's tooth. And the bear's tooth, I mean, the oyster was always my favorite, but I mean, I've had some bear's tooth that will give you a real run for your money. And the other, the black trumpets are phenomenal. The chanterelles, delicious. I mean, they're all good, but at the end of the day, that's probably my favorite mushroom. And the other thing, I'll cook up, I'm going to cook all this up. I'm not going to have all of it in my sandwich, obviously, but I'll, put it in the fridge, and then I'll have it on another sandwich, or I'll have it on in an omelet or something tomorrow. And I just don't want it to go bad. If you cook it up, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. The old maple syrup's just cooking over there. See our maple syrup's getting closer and closer. This is just a little small batch that I had. I'm probably going to only end up with about a quart, but a quart of maple syrup goes a long way. Well, mostly. What I do is I like to cut them up into little like French fry slivers, and that way you can cook them and not overcook them. Doesn't take much. I mean, you can take the flavor right out of them if you overcook them. All right, we got that bacon grease ready to go, so we'll toss those in there. We'll cook up. So it doesn't take long. What I'll do is I'll put them all to one side, drain some of the grease off. Now I know there are people cringing right now because they're saying, oh my God, you took something perfectly healthy and put bacon grease in it. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's time for some of these farm fresh eggs. Think about farm eggs, you never know what you're getting. I think I have 3 different kinds of eggs here. These are farm fresh too, not bought at a store, cage free, free range. No, I know these chickens personally, and they have a very good life, and that is a farm fresh egg. So I'm going to keep it together pretty good. Press our tea, Chaga. Oh yeah. And put that down. And we're going to cheat a little bit again. Put in some fresh homemade maple syrup, just a splash. Doesn't take much. And eggs are ready. Let's use 2. Right. Put some bacon on there. Like that. Then bear tooth mushrooms. A bunch of those. Oh man. Right there you have beartooth mushroom, farm-raised bacon, farm-fresh eggs, homemade oat bread, and some chaga tea with New Hampshire maple syrup in it. So that is a New England breakfast. Bon appetit. Mm. Oh my God. Mm. I don't usually like to eat on camera, but I just gotta tell you how good that sandwich is. If you've never tried beartooth mushrooms, they are, I think, personally, my personal favorite. There's so much of a, almost like a nutty taste to them, but not quite. Very, very, very flavorful. And the other thing I want to mention, if somebody, you know, just because I cook them in bacon grease, which is probably not the most healthy thing to do, my diet doesn't necessarily revolve around health. It's more, you know, high carbs, high fat. But, you know, I try to burn it off. But anyway, that's aside. That's my issue. If you have better, you know, if you do something in particular with a beartooth mushroom, or feel free to comment and say, hey, this is what I do, try this. I don't get offended about it. This is just what I do. You may have a better idea, you may have, or another idea that maybe I or someone else doesn't know about, so by you commenting, someone might try that and spin off from that. So bottom line is that's, you know, that's how we all learn, is from other ideas. So by all means, feel free to chime in and add to that, because you know, I'm always looking for different ways to cook things, and you know, it's all about learning. So I'm gonna get back to eating my sandwich though. This is absolutely phenomenal. Thanks for watching.